What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life's a Garden. Today's guest is a returning guest. He is the rhythm guitar player in our band Cutthroat. He was just here not that long ago for the 100th episode with the entire band, but he's back today for his second solo appearance on the show. I've been playing music on and off with this guy for over 10 years. We go way back to high school together. And before we get into it, I do want to announce we have a show coming up August 20th out at the Harley-Davidson. We're going to be playing with Fake News, so come check it out. It's a charity event. Support a good cause. Support the band. We look forward to seeing you. It's been a minute since we've had a show, so we're really excited about this one. But let's get into today's episode, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Justin Senger. What's up, Creed?
What's up, man?
Welcome back. I mean, you were just here not long ago. We did the whole big 100th episode.
Yeah.
But it was a little, we had a lot of people on.
Not a lot of room to talk. Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, I knew that was going to be a big feat to handle with 5 guys, but it was the 100th episode. I had to go big or go home.
I loved it.
But it's been almost 100 episodes since you've been on last.
I was like one of the first guests.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it was a while.
I had Mac on a couple weeks
years
ago for the first time in the same amount of time. Now you're back for the first time. Like, we're going old school. We're going classics. But better equipment, better editing skills, better camera system. All the stuff is just top notch. And you're back for your second appearance.
I'm so happy about it. The sequel is always better than the original. Wait,
I disagree.
That's not how it goes.
But in this case,
no.
I think it's going to be. So,
Yeah.
I already shouted out the show coming up in August in the intro. So
Nice.
I'm excited about that.
Heck yeah.
It's been a bummer that we haven't had the amount of shows I was hoping for in this summer. But we were just talking about how the fact it's not really been without trying.
That's true.
We've made attempts to have shows in June, July, and they just either fell through or we weren't able to get on, or and between that and I've had weddings, Drew's out of town.
Right. Yeah. No, I went out of town.
You went out of town. Yeah. Like, it's just been a busy summer, and honestly, I kind of look at it like a good thing for the band, because it's like, rather than just being go, 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 and like kind of burning out, we'll be hungry when the next show comes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I've kind of experienced that in other bands before, where it's like, now we're done. Like, we're burnt out and it's over.
Right.
But we've been pretty steady, and I do feel that feeling of like, cool, now I'm ready.
It's been, I mean, definitely not, I would not want to go this long again, because it's been almost 6 months.
It's like, yeah, maybe February.
That was the last
show. That's a long time.
And I don't remember why we didn't do March or April. I can't remember what was going on there.
I know I was out of town in April. Maybe that was part of it. Can't remember. Yeah, that was a long period for us, since we're like already up and going, and to not play shows. I think, did we write some new songs in that time? Maybe one.
No.
No? Oh,
no, because we played both the new ones at the February show. But we're like kind of working on some new stuff now.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the other thing that was hard too, is like we weren't all at practice for a long time there.
Yeah, that's true.
We were having a hard time getting everybody at practice, whether it was scheduling or people being out of town or whatever it may be. But, it's good to separate yourself a little bit from the band and the personal lives a little bit. Like, you got to remember that we do have personal lives, and like not. I feel like when you envelop yourself so much in the band or any project that you're doing, whether it's music or theater or whatever it is, can kind of like take away from that art a little bit when you envelop yourself too much in it. And so it's good to like take a seat back and enjoy your personal life a little bit, then get back into the art and be like, okay, I remember why I like doing this.
Because I'm so like black and white and all or nothing. And you know me, like I'll go crazy into it and then I'll burn out. And then I'm like, if I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it at all. And Cutthroat's been a really good way for me to be like a marathon. Like it's steady, it's happening. Like I can still live my life and have a life. Because when I was younger, I wasn't like as much of an adult and more, put together. So I was like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta make band stuff happen. And I gotta like get somewhere. And now I'm like, I am getting somewhere with like way less stress.
Right.
And like
less is more.
Killing myself over it.
Mm-hmm. I get that. Like, it's just, yeah, I guess I agree. It's when you put everything into it and then like it just gets to be too much and it's like, I can't do this anymore. Like I need a break. And then you take a break and you're like, I don't want to go back. Yep. But it's like if you take it in doses, like don't get me wrong, there's definitely things in this band that I wish we would have gotten to by now, like recording or hitting the road a little bit. But I just think about it, it'll happen when it needs to happen.
That's true.
We've also done things way sooner than I thought we would, like the merch and the amount of fans that we were able to accumulate for shows and things like that. Like we've grown at a rapid pace, more so than I thought we would. Like I said, things that I would have enjoyed us to have by now, like a recording, but we have had a recording, so we've done little things like that. We don't have an album or nothing, but it'll come. You know?
I think so.
I think it's better to let it happen naturally rather than just rush it.
In my experience, rushing it, you just end up with a feeling of like, it wasn't even worth it. Because it was like, it's one of those things where when it's done, and if it's not good, you just want to, like, I feel like, I'm like, I just want to delete this and start over. So it's like, it's kind of a weird area to navigate. So I'm glad that, if that comes, we're going to do it right.
Agreed.
Or hopefully, pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, and I have all the faith in the world in this band. Like, it's truly one of the best feeling bands I've been in, as far as like just natural feeling and like the camaraderie within the members. Right. And we're gonna hit it hard in the third quarter of this year. So I think August, September, possibly October shows. Yeah. Trying to get multiple shows. So
yeah, definitely, I agree, and I'm excited.
Hell yeah, we're on the road back. So anybody out there who is worried about the state of Cutthroat, you don't got anything to worry about. We're fresh, baby. We're coming with the hot new stuff. Just you wait.
Yeah, definitely.
I was saying too. And you mentioned, we've been doing music for a long time together.
Yeah,
as far as
just
like
me and you, even way back from Cutthroat.
Yeah. It's been like, it's crazy to think about it. It's been over 10 years.
Yeah, I think it's maybe like 12.
Yeah, on and off, not consistently, but on and off. Good part to start with you, I guess. What are some of your favorite non-Cutthroat memories, music-wise, with the two, like in any projects we've worked together? That way I can at least relate and follow in on the conversation. Because you've been in multiple bands besides things we've been in.
That's true. I mean, some of my favorite ones, though, were still the ones that we did. Because the feeling was just different, I think I know you would agree with me. Calamity, we played that. One of those shows was pretty good at the old Cine 7, which is right next to where Lucas is at. But yeah, like some of that stuff was pretty cool.
That was a great show.
It was really fun when you brought people to come up on stage and jump with us when we played the last song.
I forgot about that.
And it maybe was corny or something like,
but it just felt.
But
good.
It was cool and it felt cool and it was fun. But
and we won fans over on that one. That's when you know you won. Is when when people come to not see you and then they end up liking your stuff. Right. It's like, I didn't come to see. I just came to see the opener or the headliner, and man, you guys blew us away.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a win, and we did that in that show. I agree.
Yeah, for sure. I think like way back when we did our first band when we were sophomores in high school, Psychosis, I think just right off the bat, like I remember like I tried out for you and Chris, and it was,
Even though I was supposed to be the one trying out for you,
I
right?
don't know, I didn't even think about that till years later. I'm like, wait a minute, how did they trick me into that? You were trying out for my band, and now I'm trying out for your band.
See, I always saw it like I was trying out for your thing that you wanted to do. And then I was like, well, I have a guitar player. And like he was trying out for us.
And then my guitar player didn't show up, so I was
Right.
like, okay.
Well, and that's where I kind of thought. I felt like I was joining your little thing, and then your guitar player backed out, so I brought in my guitar player, or a guy I knew, and it was just kind of a collectively like joined thing.
Right. I think I just remember like the level of like, definitely on your part too, of just the like belief and the passion, and like I remember like for the first time ever like playing along to those songs, and like you were really telling me what like the lyrics meant, and I was like, dude, I totally feel that when we play the song, and it's so incredible, and like, oh, I can feel the pain when we play that part. The music just hits it perfect, and like,
But that's
for
good.
some
Like,
reason that just took me over the edge, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. And I was playing like, I look back on that and I was like, we were always out of tune. I was playing like half steps off at certain points, which is the worst thing you can do. And I'm like, this sounds kind of bad.
dude,
Like,
it was fucking terrible. Like, I look back, and don't get me wrong, for our first real project as a freshman group in high school, I mean, what more can you ask for? Like,
Yeah.
it was dog shit, but it was our dog shit.
it was yeah.
And like you said, there was feeling behind it. And honestly, there wasn't, like, it wasn't all bad. You know, there was some bright spots. Our performing levels were not there.
No.
Like, obviously our talent levels weren't where they would be now, or like,
Because I was thinking about it too, and I was like, okay, you had songs already written, and then you were like, this is it. And Chris would try to like write a riff to it, but it would kind of be just like anything,
yeah.
and it like somehow worked, but probably didn't. And then I was like trying to see what he was playing, and then Jasper's following along, and
It was a mess.
I thought it was great, but the way it was set up was kind of weird. But
The best thing about that band really was just the vibe and the feeling.
oh yeah, that definitely was it for me. It was just the like, me and you were so like, this is our job and we're gonna make it, and I was like so about that.
Well, the thing of it is, honestly, I've never thought about it until just now, was the first band was the vibe, the feeling, the energy in the music, but the talent, the music, the songwriting, all that stuff wasn't quite up to par. Calamity, the opposite. The music, the skill level, all that was better. It was definitely like the signature point of the band, but the vibe, the chemistry wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Cutthroat is the best of both of those things.
Yeah.
The chemistry's there, the camaraderie, the
For
songwriting, the talent is the best we've ever worked with as far as like just
Oh, yeah.
full on skill level, like the intricacies of songwriting, the lyrics. Like, these are some of the best lyrics I've ever written,
Mm-hmm.
some of the best songs I've ever been a part of, even remotely trying to write to.
Just like the level of somehow in Cutthroat, everyone is just on the same page, everyone gets along, and like, I don't know how it happened. It was so like effortless, and it just happened.
Yeah.
And it was like, I didn't even have a lot of expectations really, like, and I didn't ever really put a lot of pressure on it myself and like force some things, and it just happened. And I look back now and I'm like, wow, like it was meant to be. It just like came together.
Yeah. It was very organic. Like, it just, and everybody's kind of a seasoned veteran. Like, you know, we've talked about this on the show here before, and just how good everybody is at their job, at what we do, and it doesn't feel like a job. It feels like
Yeah.
just guys hanging out playing music.
Right? Definitely like I remember even like not anything related to Cutthroat, but maybe just being burnt out on music because I was doing so many bands and stuff. And I remember like, playing a show or like even specifically like the Halloween show or something and just being like, wow, like, yeah, I definitely am going to be into this.
It's just there's a certain feeling that comes along with it. Like it's right. Like this is what's meant to be. Like
And
I don't know.
Yeah. And I still think there's another level to get to. And I think it's
Of course.
possible.
Of course. And that's how it should be. Like we should always be striving for greater heights.
Yeah.
And for more things because yeah, that's how you get better. That's how it makes you want to do it more.
Right.
When you got things on the horizon.
Yeah, it was like I was saying to you earlier, if you don't have a to-do list, if you don't have any goals, then you're done.
Then what's the point?
Then you don't care anymore.
Right.
Because that's how I am. I'm like, I got a notebook list of things I want to get done with the band or something, and I'm like, if I don't have that, then I know I don't care.
Right.
All
right, now I got some questions for you as a musician personally. Okay? So and specifically just within the bands that you've been a part of. It doesn't have to be anything we've done necessarily.
Okay.
Any project that you've been a part of or a song that you've been a part of writing.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be one. Name a couple songs that come to your mind that the song itself, whether it was one you wrote, whether it was one that we've all written together throughout the years. A few songs that just meant something to you as a whole. Not necessarily lyrically, because I'm going to ask you that one next. But just as a whole, the song that like you feel hit you right in the gut. Like it's just like every time you play this song or have played this song in the past, it was like, I don't know, it just had that like feeling. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it just hits you every time. Or has like an overwhelming emotional feeling for you.
My gosh. One that I've been a part of. It's like, I'm trying to think of the one that's just over the top with that, where it really hits me. Gosh, I'm just like trying to think. Do you have one off the top of your head?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just speaking as far as like currently, Cutthroat, All That's Left is one that really, I mean, that was already an emotional song for me lyrically, but the music complements the lyrics. Like, it's more than just the lyrics, because like while the lyrics have a lot of meaning to me, the lyrics, it's not like a current thing that I'm having issues with, but the music just complements the song so much that you feel it through the music. That's one for me. Another one from Cutthroat that I get that same vibe with as far as like the energy is To the Lost. Like the music hits the note of what the song is trying to do. It really is
like on the same page.
Yeah.
Definitely agree with that.
And I'm trying to think of some other ones from like Calamity or Psychosis.
Yeah, I'm trying to think too.
But I mean, this could be, any of your other projects that you've been a part of too that maybe had more of an impact for you.
Okay. I think from the Photoshop Lifters, This World was always a song that really
I like that
hit
song
me.
too.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about the way it all hits musically, and I do kind of feel like it has that same feeling of the music hits the vibe of it really close. And that also is kind of like a more of an emotional song for me lyrically, but it's a lot more like sad, I guess.
I think most songs that hit you emotionally are the sad ones, especially if you're writing them.
Because like for me, a lot of my writing, especially like in that band, was like kind of my diary, I guess, a little bit. So it was like a lot of sad, personal, like feelings that I wanted to get out, and like kind of even some stuff with lyrics, like writing automatically, kind of like learning about myself and kind of looking back on lyrics and being like, wow, like I kind of figure out what that means for me. Like I'm like unlocking the lower levels of my psyche or something. I don't know if you've ever related to that, but
see, when I write songs, it's typically I just kind of it's weird because have you ever heard the theory of like where do ideas come from? Like do ideas come naturally from within you, or do you harness ideas from some place within the cosmos and they just kind of get pulled into you? You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it feels when I write songs. I'm like, I listen to the music, at least more lately, when I listen to the music, and it just kind of like, I'll just start singing stuff. And it just like, it feels like it's supposed to be that. And then when I start thinking about the meaning of the lyrics, I'm like, oh shit, this is this. And then I formulate it based on that. I'm like, this song is about this because I just started saying that. And it perfectly works with the music. So it's like you're drawing from this like well of ideas that are out in the ether.
Really?
As opposed to it just like, this is just something that came from me because I wanted it to.
Right. Like, I totally agree with that. And that's how I write too. I don't like have this big preconceived, well thought out, pre-planned like lyric structure and it's going to be about this. It's kind of more like I don't know if you've heard of automatic writing, but you're just kind of like,
it's like freestyling.
it's like, yeah, you're doing a lot of like na, like you're just kind of letting whatever come out. And I know you do this too, but I do it too, where like I'll kind of let certain phrases just come out too, and then I'm like, oh yeah, and that kind of makes me think of this, and this will go well with it, and then it just somehow all builds itself together.
Yeah, and once you've established what the song is about, once you've established like this is the meaning of the song, this is what the song will be about, then you do structure more lyrics around that. It's not all just
Right.
pulling random words and making a phrase out of it. Like, it starts that way. It's like, this is what, like, you don't think about this is what this song means to me even.
Right.
Or you don't go into it with a preconceived notion of like, I don't care what the music sounds like. This song is going to be about time and space. You know what I mean? Or this song's going to be about some political thing that's on my mind lately. It's just like, you just start saying stuff and then it's like, oh, okay, I'm getting an idea of what this song's about, and then you structure the lyrics more to suit that meaning.
So you're like, it's an intuitive thing. It's some kind of like energy thing where you're like feeling the song and you're feeling the idea. Because for me, I always thought of it like, sometimes it's almost like it's shadow work, where I'm like, it's like some deep level personal work to like write songs and then kind of think for myself, like, wow, what am I saying here? Or like, I'll write a song and then like all those things I'll write about will happen in my life, like after I've written the song.
Right.
Where it's like I'm predicting the future, or like it's a cycle or something. But yeah, it's funny that we both do that without knowing. I'm sure a lot of singers and writers do, but
I would imagine so. And it's funny because Jordan Peterson actually talks about this.
Oh, really?
Is how music is an energy. Like, it's not a sound. It's a frequency. You know what I mean? Like, it's a frequency that you have to like be in tune with. And that's why every human on earth has a natural love for some form of music. If anybody out there like truly just hates all music, they have no soul.
Right. Because
music is a frequency of energy and of like, it's a spiritual energy. It's not just like I said, sounds that make you think about the idea of a sound making you feel, right? Like, you don't really get that with just natural sounds. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe a little bit, but when music, it takes you somewhere. Yeah. It makes you feel sad. It makes you feel happy. It makes you feel just by tones. And it is like a spiritual frequency. So when you tap into that frequency and you pull from that, you are the words, the meaning, the message, when they match how that song or how the music makes you feel, then it's a complete song. You know what I mean? I can take a whole bunch of lyrics that I wrote that mean something to me, but if the music doesn't match it, then it's a nothing song. Like, people can feel it. That's why like songs like All That's Left, the music itself, you could do it without music, and I would get the same, or you could do it without lyrics, and I would have the same feeling as I do with the lyrics, because the lyrics match the music.
Right.
They match the tone.
And you have to be able to be intuitive enough
To find
to
that.
find, because I don't necessarily either go into like, oh, here's some music I have, I'm gonna try to write, lyrics to it, and I don't force it. Sometimes I'm surprised with what I come up with myself.
Same.
And I'm like, I didn't even that wasn't even on my mind. Like, so it's like you like you said, you're wondering like, where is this coming from? Like, you're tapping into something, whether it's inside or outside or on some other dimension completely. I don't know, but it's cool because like you can have kind of people that really inspire you, on your musical journey, and like definitely you're an inspiration for me on that journey. And like I'm sure there's a couple things I've gotten from you. I know I accidentally ripped you off once.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, and I felt really bad.
I think you might have told me about this.
I did, yeah, and I was like, man, I really didn't know.
I mean, I've done that with so many artists that I've listened to and
But
stuff.
I think it's just because I spent so much time like listening to you sing and like hearing your style and hearing your lyrics, and it was
It happens to
just
everybody.
rub off on you,
But what was it again?
I think it was Beyond the Light, Beyond the Stars.
Oh, yeah. We never even used that in
Yeah, I know, but I just think it's funny that it's like, yeah, I did get that from you, and I totally didn't mean to.
Well, it's like, I mean, when you listen to thousands and thousands of songs, something's going to bleed through.
Well, you're going to be inspired,
Of course, of course. And there's times that I'll come up with like melodies that I'm just like, oh, that's good. And then you realize, oh, that kind of sounds like this.
Right.
You know?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because it's so hard to come up with an original.
And that's why it's nice to have people to bounce it off of.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so going back to what we were saying, like you said, All That's Left was a big feeling song for you. I think like one of the reasons I really like Cutthroat and like what makes it different than other bands for me is like, so like a song like Hypnotized, for example, that's just like super like,
yeah, it's very,
and everyone can like clap their hands and it's very rock and roll, and it's like, I really like that. And
Yeah.
I think there's a whole feeling in that too, where it's like, it's something where it's like, it's more of a connection with like the crowd.
yeah,
It's like something,
engagement.
yeah, it's got some sort of like juice to it that like, instead of it being really emotional and, oh, it fits and it's something you can sing along to, it's more of a like, it's like a fist pumping anthem, and it's like a side of music writing that I've really wanted to like tap into. I used to, like, I don't know about you, but when I grew up, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we had a group of people headbanging in the front row and people were moshing? And it's like, okay, maybe that's not going to happen now, but like some level of like crowd interaction like that, that's like more involved, I think is really cool, because I've seen a lot of just like people kind of looking.
Yeah.
Or like, what's cool is like, for the type of music that I've done, it's like when people sing along, that's really cool, but people are just really like intently looking. But it's cool to have that crowd engagement. And I don't know what word I'm looking for, but like, because that song gives me a feeling too.
Well,
and
it's
like, I'm on top of the world.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just a high energy feeling. It's just like an adrenaline pump, and that's kind of like, you see that in the crowd. Like the crowd hears it, the crowd feels it, and the crowd reacts upon it. So it's like, that is what that song would induce, is like just an adrenaline, like, let's go,
Definitely.
And so I feel like a lot of our songs have that. And that's what I do also like about the band, is that we can go from heartstrings, emotional type songs to just a nice little groove, like this could be just a chill vibe, to like, let's beat some fuckers up, like, you know what I mean? Like let's bob our heads and jump up and down, it's like,
right.
We have all these different things that I think, and, appeal to every type of audience.
And it's a testament to the guys in the band that were able to be that open-minded. Because I've been in a lot of bands where it's like people have this musical direction idea where it's like, nope, it's got to be this. And it's like, I can understand that to a certain extent, but like, I just think that, we're able to do so many different things. And
well, and we definitely all have different taste in music. Like, maybe not, it's not too far out of the realm of rock and metal. Like, I think that's a pretty safe bet to say that we all appreciate rock and metal. But, Aaron likes a different type of rock and metal than Lucas. Lucas likes a different type of rock and metal than Drew. Like, we all like different stuff.
I'll show up with the band shirt on and Aaron will be like, they suck.
Yeah. But then, he likes stuff that we've never heard of.
Right.
Kind of thing.
But, I think a big part of it, too, is the, like, whatever way we've agreed that we write. Like, when the writing works with a group of people like that, it's like, okay, I guess the musical influences don't matter quite as much when you're able to write together and you agree and you're all happy and it's flowing, So,
well, we don't write like any specific thing or any specific artist or anything. We write like Cutthroat. Like when we go to write a song, it's like, this is a Cutthroat song. Like we're writing like a cohesive unit.
Because I remember, we have about like 15 songs now, and there's a few of them where I think we were wondering, like, or, some guys were wondering, like, is this a Cutthroat song or not? And it's like, well, let's not put a limit on it just yet. Like, and now it's like, whatever song that was, probably one of our better songs.
Well, and even the ones that are just like, take the two most drastically different songs that we have, and you're going to find pieces in both those songs that are uniquely Cutthroat. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you can trace them back to being, oh, yeah, that's clearly them because of this and this and this. Because, it's still us.
At the end of the day, like, I used to spend a lot of time worrying, like, oh my gosh, every synth has to sound exactly the same, or no one will know it's us, and stuff like that. It's like, you're still you at the end of the day, and like, you can be different in different songs, and people are still gonna know that it's you.
And I think they're gonna appreciate it more, because take a band like Volbeat or fucking Five Finger Death Punch, where all their songs are just the same song rewritten.
And I don't care for that. And the same can be. There are probably some bands too where all their songs are maybe not necessarily different, but maybe it's like they have a big hit single, and then none of their other songs sound like that, and people are kind of like, they were drawn in and then they were disinterested. But it's good to have a diverse sound to a certain extent, as long as it's good, I feel like, and not too crazy.
Yeah, don't go so far off the beaten path that like your main hit is a pop type song.
But I mean, like 21 Pilots is a good example of, like, they seem like they kind of have some different genres, and like, to me, when I listen to them, I definitely gravitate towards certain songs, and I guess that's cool,
But you're still a fan.
Yeah, I still like the band, but but you want to like grow and evolve and change anyway, I guess. I mean, AC/DC never did it,
and they still ended up
being
one of the biggest bands ever.
Yeah,
it's just, they're also from a different era. I don't think a band like AC/DC survives in an era like this right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure what era we're in anymore.
Yeah, the SoundCloud era, the self-produced era.
Like, I had a guy telling me the other day, and granted, he's like teenager, telling me about some band he wanted to start that was like a revival thing, and it was like something with metal, like metalcore, and I'm like, wait a second, so like the music that I listen to, and you're just calling it a revival band?
Yeah.
And I'm like
this is,
geez, am I that old? Like
metalcore is no longer a viable option. Like, it doesn't exist anymore, basically.
Like, it's like 80s revival. Like, that's what it sounded like when he was talking about it. Like,
it's a classic
like
now.
It's an ironic, like, bring it back to life thing. And I'm like, there's some guys that I know that are like, they still think they're chasing the dream. Should I tell them that they're like, oh dude, no, you're like 10 years behind,
it's
bro.
Like, no,
it's revival now.
If you're gonna do this now, you're just a revival band. You're just bringing the oldies back.
I mean, and I think we do live in an era now where it's like, decades ago, people just listened to what was on the radio, or the bands that came to town and stuff. And now you have everything at your fingertips, so you could get into music and just really be in love with 80s thrash metal, or
or something that came out yesterday,
new metal, or just, it doesn't need to be new. It can just be whatever you found.
Mm-hmm. And it's easy to find artists that like have 200 followers in Missouri, Like some random ass fucking band just randomly pops up on your Spotify.
Right. I think, gosh, I'm sure the algorithm's not good for that band.
It's no, and you do got to play to the algorithm stuff, but it's still possible.
It's possible, yeah. But I don't know.
It's a tough. It's the best time to be a small musician and the worst time.
I agree with that.
Like you can be found, but there's just the pool got this. It expanded times 1,000.
It's almost like even with things like anything creating content, whether it's this podcast or anything creative, it's like people are like working now to like find their niche, find their market, and then go off there.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, we're just trying to be giant.
Mm-hmm.
It's
like, and yeah, you could say the same about podcasting too. Yeah, it's like it's better to be in the pool than like having a small pool and be outside of it. Rather now it's a big pool, but you're still in it. So the chances of you being found do exist, whereas before it was very, very slim that anybody would ever find you unless you fell into that really small pool.
And I mean, I guess playing locally too, being in Billings, it's like we're, a medium-sized town, I guess, compared to the country. Probably most people think we're small, but we're kind of isolated. But, Billings loves its like rock and country, and it's like we thankfully fit into that very well.
Yeah.
But like
it'd be hard to be a pop star trying to make
it would be hard to be something weirder here, and I definitely can tell being in Cutthroat compared to other bands I've been in. It's like music genre wise, this is way more well received than like the techno synth.
And to an extent, even like the more heavy stuff, like it does survive here, but it has its own like. It's not. You're not going to get a vast crowd. It's going to be a very cliquey crowd of those type of people that enjoy that music.
Yeah,
like the really deathcore-y stuff.
Right. And I mean, the more I've gotten into the metal world, the more I've noticed it's like, very particular.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very like, oh, it's this genre or it's this genre, and we hate that genre, but we only like this genre, and we're better than them because this and that guy plays this kind of guitar, and that drove me crazy. I was like, dude, I do not care. Like my amp, you could have gotten at a garage sale, plug it in.
Yeah. Now, okay, I do want to ask you specifically about songwriting.
Okay.
So. Well, we kind of did dive into a little bit about songwriting, but more so lyric writing.
Lyric writing.
For you personally, because I know you've written a lot of lyrics.
Okay.
Off the top of your head, what are some of your favorite lyrics that you've written that mean a lot, or just were, even if they didn't mean something necessarily, they were just a really, like, smart, unique line, or whatever? Something you were just proud of.
I think there's probably several. I've just for the sake of me not erring and eyeing on here for too long. The one that comes off the top of my head, it's a song called Unidentified, and I wrote it in 2016, and then I kind of rewrote it last year, and it kind of needed to be fit into like a better time structure. But the line in the chorus is, "I've been split in two. One for me and one for the unidentified. The unidentified gets one too."
Oh, I like that.
So it's kind of like a play on words.
Well, and it's like it diverts from your expectation, which would be one for me and one for you. That's what everybody like immediately would think is what you're gonna say.
Right.
But then you divert it to something else that still works.
And I've got like the two different uses of two.
So,
like,
nice.
I've been split into. Like, I've been split into two halves.
Yeah.
One for me, one for the unidentified. The unidentified gets one too. So it's like they're getting my other half, and the unidentified being, like could be anything. I think that song kind of for me ended up being about like the really bad sleep paralysis that I would get.
Oh, interesting.
And that's kind of like what the verses are about and stuff. And I just like... That's one of those songs where like I wrote when I was like, Yeah, I really do. For some reason, those lyrics just hit me right, and the meaning just kind of. It's not too complicated or too insane, but I think it's cool.
I always liked lyrics that had like double meanings and things like
Yeah.
that. And I can't think of any off the top of my head that I've done. I'm sure there have been many, but yeah, I always liked writing lyrics that had double meanings or like where the verses offset each other. Like this, they have like the similar writing styles,
Right.
but they're opposite or like they contrast each other. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but
Like
like you write them
they're
similar.
opposites, but they're the same cadence and stuff, but they're just different words.
And even the words are kind of similar, but it just is. It takes it in a different sense, I guess.
Okay.
I can't give you an example off the top of my head, but I know there's been several times I've done that.
Because I like stuff too where it could have multiple meanings to it.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's like I want the listener to be able to find a meaning for themselves. And it's like sometimes I don't even have one meaning for it. Like I've got two or three, or sometimes I wonder what it's about. I guess you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm trying to think because I know you've got some lyrics that are kind of like the one I just said, where it's like a little play on words,
Oh yeah.
where it's like, hey, that's kind of cool, you know. I also really like choruses that kind of like they're not like rhyme, 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 rhyme. They kind of like break apart,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and like, and it kind of takes you for a little like, whoa, that kind of really made that interesting. Like,
Kind of diverted a little bit differently.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one that came to my mind as far as, and I think this one's actually just more for meaning purpose for me, like the central meaning of the lyrics. But at the same time, it also is just a really cool line. Is for God's sake, you need to get your life back now. Pull yourself together. It'll get much better, and you'll be forgiven. For God's sake, you need to see the light somehow. Open up your eyes and look deep inside, or you'll be forsaken.
Yeah,
See,
I
and
like
that's
that too.
and that's kind of one that I like, where it kind of contrasts forgiven, forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
Like they sound similar, but they mean two totally different things.
Yeah.
And I like that. The other one that I thought of too, just while sitting here, was it's one we haven't even used, and actually one that I would like to use. And it goes, "How can you speak to me, pretend it means something? Countless times you've told me a tale that ends in betrayal. I see you slithering, just like a serpentine."
I like that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm trying to think of another one that I've got. Just what did you say? Just lyrics that just meant something?
Yeah, whether it was something that you just thought was very uniquely cool, or something that really did mean something deep down to you. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have to think for a minute too. I know Rembrandt has some cool lyrics in it that I thought were really unique. Like,
Yeah.
but they're unique, but also kind of generic, I guess. Like, dream in color and then paint it. Fly on high, fly on high from what's created. I like that one. And then it ends with no breath taken is worth wasting.
Yeah.
Which I think is a cool, like, it means something. It's like kind of generic, I guess, but it was still kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah.
I know. What was the one song that you had with Photoshop that I really liked?
Was it an older one?
Yeah.
I think the other one that kind of was a clever phrase, I guess, or idea was the World War U.
Oh,
where it was
yes,
like,
yes.
There is a reason for all that I do. It's from a lifelong battle, a world war with you. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I guess that song is also kind of like, it's like you're talking to yourself a little bit, and that's why I think that song's cool.
Well, and that's cool too, because the song's called World War U, but you call it a World War with you.
Yeah.
And that makes me think also back to God Forsaken a little bit. Is the song's called God Forsaken, but literally only say God Forsaken one time in the whole song, and it's at the very end, because it says for God's sake rather than God Forsaken.
Yeah. The title's like a little bit different, and I like stylized it like WWU.
Yeah.
But and like the verse, or like the bridge, I should say, It's I left my ammo simply rotting away. Don't expect a white flag. Declare war on me.
Nice.
And then it goes into like the heavy part.
Nice.
But
I like that. I love lyric writing. It's like
Yeah.
it is poetry, man.
yeah. Because then you're like, oh, cool. I know what the main idea is, and like I can just say this now right here. And then once you write it, you get that feeling of like that's perfect. Yeah, and you're like in the zone.
Sometimes it's funny too because we'll be doing. We have certain songs that we've just done over and over and over again now that like it's kind of just second nature to me just to like sing them, and I could close my eyes and not even think about it, and they would just come out of my mouth.
Right.
And then when I like sit down and read the lyrics again, when I read them back, I'm like, holy shit! Like,
Yeah,
this really does have some like deeper shit to it. Like it's a lot deeper than what I just like spew out of my mouth every
Right.
time. Like it's like getting back into touch with what you wrote,
yeah.
and it kind of gives you a second like
It's like
you should feel what the song means when you're delivering it, because if you can exert the emotion of the song too while singing it, then it's gonna give it more life.
But I've like, that's one thing you saying that I always loved about playing with you, and that really elevated things was you could feel the like your emotional attachment to like what we were playing and what it was about, and we could even probably get more into that. And that's what like your speeches were so cool, because it was like you're connecting what this song is about and getting people to like, oh, okay, here's what he's thinking about, and he's talking about how this song is about this, and this is what we're all going to feel right now when we play this song. And that's what I thought was really cool.
Yeah,
But
and generally speaking, I don't mind doing that, but like you
Yeah.
said, I'd like the audience to take their own interpretation.
Definitely.
But it is important sometimes to do that, to be like, this is what this song's about, so then people can make an attachment to the song, and like then they kind of grow.
But I think you do a good job with the way you say it, that it's not so
it's
solid,
still kind of open.
But like, even to your point of like, I'm singing this song and I'm just like singing it with my eyes closed. It's funny because like, even when if I'm like singing and playing guitar, and I'm just thinking about like what I'm gonna sing next, or what I'm gonna say after the song,
or you're thinking about like,
and I'm like
what
singing lyrics and thinking about what I'm gonna say after the song. And people are like already wondering like, how are you singing and playing guitar at the same time? And I'm sitting here thinking about like, kind of feel like
oh, my
that
back
guy
hurts.
over there is looking at me weird. Like, I guess I'll stare him down for a second. No, I'm just kidding.
But you're on autopilot.
Yeah, sometimes. Oh man, speaking of like thinking like a guy's looking at you or something, it's like, do you ever get that feeling when you're like, you're too self-aware when you're on stage and you're like, oh man, people are thinking things and I'm getting paranoid?
I've
had that.
I actually don't
definitely.
think I've ever had that. Like, it's if anything like that, it's always been a motivator just to like make the energy change.
Yeah, and it's definitely easier in Cutthroat. I think there's something about having more people that just dilutes that, but like, I'm used to way more pressure. But anyway, it's like playing the song automatically where you're so memorized. It's like playing a sport and you're like, oh, I already know this play, like we're just running it.
Yeah.
But it's like you almost need that, because I remember in one of my bands in Twin Division when we were playing at the pub station, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm an autopilot. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm at the pub station. It's time to now I'm time to jump up and down and go crazy. And I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot that I'm playing like leads right here, and I gotta like stand here and like really focus, and I'm like kind of like almost messing up. And I'm like, that's why it's good to have it like the back of your hand, so then you're not like, because then you can be into the show, and then you can worry about the crowd, and then you can worry about, problems and whatever's going on.
But you do also want to still stay connected. Like, you don't want to disconnect so far from the song that it's just like, you're reading the same book in front of the class, and it just doesn't have any like, you know what I mean? It's just like you're reading it like a fucking statue.
That's where I struggle, is, I guess not struggle, but like conflict is like, am I trying to like be into the vibe of the crowd and with my band and like the moment, or am I trying to be into what this song is about and express it? I guess probably both.
You just got to find the dance. It's just a dance of
Yeah.
doing it all. Like you got to find the balance of conveying the message of the song to the audience by connecting to them and like engaging them.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not like, people think it's easy sometimes, but like there's more to it than just singing and songwriting.
And you can't practice that stuff. That's why it's good to play shows and get experience and like see what it's like.
But some guys do it for years and never get that.
That's true.
Some people just aren't showmen. Some people are just musicians and aren't showmen. That's fine. Some people are just showmen and not musicians. Like they can't sing or play music to save their life, but they are a good showman. Like they'll engage you.
See, I feel like
you got to be both.
I feel like me and you are kind of opposites in that way. Like, I was more used to the music and I kind of had to learn how to be a showman, and you were more of a showman and you kind of had to learn to get more into the music.
Yeah.
And like, that's just interesting. You should be able to like do both, but I like, I don't know.
It's definitely it's a dance, and I agree with you. Like I'm definitely more in the show side. Like I've learned the music side a little bit, but still there's a lot I struggle with.
Because you even had that just natural gift even when we were really young, doing it right away.
Oh, for the shows and stuff?
Yeah, and I feel like, yeah, just for like speeches and like vibe and like, I know you maybe like look back on it and you think it was dumb, but it was not. It was like, you had it,
Well, that comes from watching others,
Yeah.
I got that from Shinedown, Disturbed, like, that's where all that came from, was watching other bands and being like, that's cool. Like, I want to do that. Like, I get something out of that. I'm going to make that happen for me,
Yeah, and then I have a great time being like, don't got to worry about that today. I'm just going to flail around on the guitar and let Dakota talk. And then when you're talking, I'm going to be like, wow. And it's like, yeah. So another song that we have that I really think has a great feeling and the lyrics are really cool is Divine Intervention.
I agree.
So the chorus, you want to say it?
Now that I see your intentions in mind, fever is running an all-time high on a mountain, increasing with pride.
Always
self-righteous and so divine.
Yeah. And then the music goes so well with it. And...
But that's also a misdirect too, where it's like a fever is running an all-time high on a mountain, increasing with pride, always self-righteous and so divine.
Yeah. And then you have another one, like the double chorus at the end of the song.
Yeah. It goes, always self-righteous and so divide us and conquer to keep us in line. Illumination is on the rise of the weak and the steady decline, the ever self-righteous and so divine.
Yeah.
It sounds smooth coming off, but it does it multiple times in that last one.
Yeah. And then like the music's getting more intense as you're going to that part, and yeah. That one really is cool. That's kind of more the metal-ish kind of.
The verses are cool in that song too, and then here's another good line that I like that has like a hidden message from that song is it's in the bridge. It goes it's so hard without music.
I know, like,
you know what I mean?
I guess you got to think of that first word.
Keep us in debt, fill us with dread. See, it's hard to do it without singing.
Keep us in debt.
Fill us with dread. So catatonic, keep bowing our heads. No breath to wind, no legs to stand. Genesis said we must use our own hands. That's the lyric. Genesis said we must use our own hands, and that comes from Land of Confusion. In the song Land of Confusion, where Genesis says, this is the world we live in, and these are the hands we're given.
You're blowing my mind right now. I didn't even know that you said that. And that alone is just a cool line. Genesis said we must use our own hands.
Yeah.
See, your vocabulary and like thought process on like, the poetry of it is like really good.
Well, and like that alone is just a cool lyric, even if you didn't know the inside meaning of it. But because Divine Intervention, it kind of is similar to what Land of Confusion, like the message is similar to the message of Land of Confusion.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the weak shall rise kind of thing.
Right.
Like the powerful may try it in whatever sense.
And that's a good sentiment, and it's kind of delivered differently though.
It is.
It's more maybe it's darker a little bit or more like intense.
But that's why I chose. It was just like it reminded me of Land of Confusion, so I was like, Genesis said we must use our own hands.
Because I don't. It's hard for me to describe what the music makes me think of. I come up with like weird descriptions where it's like a rock version of like Lamb of God or something. I don't know. Like it's probably not the greatest description, but
it's right along there. Like how the music goes, that
that Drew's riff really there like kind of gives me that Lamb of God feeling, and yeah, definitely like those are some good lyrics, and that's what's nice too is like obviously I'm a big fan just objectively of your lyric writing and your style, so it's like it works when you can bring people together in a band that's like, hey, like, I already like what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm supporting you.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is, like, you're right in that. Like, I can say that individually about each member.
Yeah.
Like, I like the parts that you bring to this band.
Definitely.
Like, and there's, not just musically, like, there's aspects, personally, that everybody brings to the band that is very unique.
Right, definitely.
Know? And, like, everybody brings a little something outside of the music to the band.
Yeah, and I think this band, too, has something that I've lacked before, and I've really noticed it now, is like having people, and I almost think there's more of us that are like this than are not, but like just kind of really solid people in the band, like a rock, you know, like someone who's not gonna get too worked up, and someone who's gonna be, you know, that stoic, like
you can rely on
like
them.
Tim Duncan, you know, like
yeah.
They're like I feel like you and Drew and Lucas definitely have that vibe, and me and Aaron are kind of the crazy people. Just kidding.
The wild cards.
Me and Aaron are kind of the wild cards, and Drew, you guys are like.
But you need a little bit more of it. You know,
I mean,
it'd be kind of bland if there weren't some wild cards.
I mean, like I'm like flailing around and screaming high pitched in Drew's face. Aaron's kind of like maybe partially drunk and like over there like. And like Lucas is just sweating bullets, and it's
But that's what gives it some character.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like you gotta have a little character.
Because someone told me like after a show, it was like, you guys look like you're like from different walks of life, but you all somehow like fit together right, just as people, not as musicians.
Oh yeah,
it's like. You know, some of us in the band, you're like, I could never see those two guys ever hanging out.
It's a legit motley crew.
Yeah, it is. And, like, the way that, like, I knew of Lucas is so weird. And, like, it's like I randomly was in this church band once for, like, 3 things. And he was playing drums because his mom was the worship team leader. And I was always like, he's a potential drummer if I ever need one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he knew Drew.
He knew Drew, and I met Drew through work.
Right.
So it was just like a random, like just small world type situation.
And I guess you're related to Aaron or something.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Well, that's how that happened too. But small world there too. But no, it's really cool. Like I agree. The chemistry is there.
Yeah.
And that shows through. In the music and in the performance.
Definitely a band I'm proud of. And
oh yeah, absolutely. Like and of course with any band, like you're gonna have some ups and downs and stuff, but it's like more ups than downs, and definitely easily bounce back.
Because it's been well over 3 years.
That's more than all the other projects I've ever done combined.
Yeah,
like double.
Yeah. I've never had a band that's lasted for, like, this long in a row.
Yeah.
Like, never.
That's crazy.
I think, yeah. Definitely.
Well, that's a good sign.
Definitely, yeah.
Now, okay, so we've been talking music about an hour now, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Does your audience know a lot about Cutthroat now? Just kidding.
If they don't, they should. But I do want to talk a little bit about something slightly other than music.
Let's do it.
Something that now, this is good that it's later in the episode. So for anybody listening, understand this. Spoiler alerts ahead. I'm not going to hold back. If you haven't seen the movie, turn it off now or skip to the end. We got to talk Thor.
Spoiler alert. You know what? I will say opening weekend is over. And if you haven't seen it on opening weekend, then you're probably going to watch it at home or not at all. And, I'm just delaying more time so you can shut off the...
Yeah. So this was your forewarning.
Don't skip ahead. And if you did skip ahead and you're seeing a spoiler, this is your lesson to not skip ahead.
Yeah, agreed. We're going to talk some Thor Ragnarok because I love...
Wait, no. Thor Love and Thunder.
Oh, my bad. Yes, my bad. Thor Love and Thunder. Love the Marvel Universe. And this was the most recent in the movie.
The biggest budget of any Marvel movie ever made.
No way.
$250 million.
No way.
That's what they said.
Over
And I was thinking, I was like, what did you have, $5,000 donut breakfast?
Over Endgame,
I
it was
guess.
more?
I don't know.
That's bizarre. I thought the cast alone would be that much for Endgame. Although there were some surprising cameos.
Really? I'm trying to remember.
Matt Damon.
He's been in it before, but that was really good.
And then Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a good one. Okay, so first of all, before we even dive in,
okay.
Overall thoughts, just immediate reaction, and what would you give it out of 10?
Oh boy, I would say 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't have a lot of expectations coming into this one. I didn't really have any clue or didn't really think about what it could be about too much. I was really worried about the Natalie Portman, Jane Foster, bringing her back in, and because I haven't seen the first 2 Thors in so long, I don't even remember what they're about. I think most people probably feel that way, and they are not very good.
Mm-hmm.
But they actually did it okay with her. They did way better than I expected. The movie was... I thought it was good. I liked the movie.
Yeah, I did too. I would give it more like a 7 out of 10.
Oh, really?
Not that's not slighting it in any sense.
You think it's better or worse than Ragnarok?
Not as good.
Not as good?
I think they are very similar.
I think it's maybe slightly worse. Yeah.
Just slightly, and here's why. I think they leaned into the comedy side a little too much.
And can I give you an example?
Yes.
So, the goats.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I will say, when it first happened, I was like, that's pretty annoying. And then the second, third time, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. It's a joke. They're screaming. But, and then the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, whatever at the time, I was like,
we get it.
Is this movie for 8-year-olds or...
They definitely leaned in the comedy stuff a little too hard. I liked the story, the story arc. I liked the plot. I thought they kind of rushed it a little bit in the beginning with oh, she's got cancer. Now all of a sudden she's Thor. She just goes, oh, the hammer beckoned me. They explained everything correctly. I like why she became Thor. Why she was able to harness the power of Thor. I like why she needed to. But I thought they didn't, they should have dove into it a little more. Rather than explaining it, they should have done it.
Well, they didn't do any of it. It was just
she just showed up and
she's just I'm Thor. And it's I'm the mighty Thor. And it's what are you talking about? No one ever showed us anything. No one ever explained anything. I'm supposed to just know that you're the mighty Thor because he told his hammer to look after you?
Well,
but then the hammer was killing her. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they kind of dropped the ball a little bit with that. But overall, I still like the idea. I didn't really like her dialogue a lot. And once again, I hate to do it, but I gotta
just tell me.
I gotta knock Marvel for once again absolutely just punishing us with gay stuff. Like, I don't want to say punishing in a bad way, but it's just so in your face that it's not allied stuff anymore. It's just like, we're doing this to do this. Like, it's so blatantly unnecessary that it takes away from what they're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Definitely is something where they sit in the writing table and like, okay, guys, we
Who's
gotta
gay
make
in this
sure
one?
we do this, and like, so are you kind of mainly referring to like when they're talking about Valkyrie?
Yes, and then
So they kind of
Korg
refer to
and Korg with
Yeah.
like him like
I almost felt like they were trying to hold back a little bit,
really.
but maybe they weren't. Like, I thought, like, do we really need to know the Rock guy's sexuality?
Right.
Like,
It's so blatantly like they're
Why?
just trying so hard
And
to put this in there. And here's the thing. I don't even honestly care if you like blatantly do it just to do it in a movie. But every single movie, you can like going back to, I mean, at least the last 4 Marvel movies that they've put out.
Eternals had it,
Eternals
right?
had it. Doctor Strange had it. This one had it. I don't remember if Black Widow had it, but it wouldn't shock me if it did.
Can't remember. But
Like,
I saw that one not too long ago.
But like, I'm trying to think if the movie series or if the TV series.
I just worry for them when, like, how well that stuff's gonna age. Where it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, are we gonna see this in 10 years and be like, oh, cringe? Like,
Well, and
why'd
like,
you
don't
do
get me
that?
wrong. Like, this isn't a point of contention because I'm against LGBTQ or anything like that. Like, it has nothing to do with that. It has more to do with the fact that it's so blatantly because they're trying to agendize it rather than make a story out
where
of it.
it's like it doesn't really fit the plot.
And again,
It's
if you wanted to just throw it in there, okay, but just you don't got to do it on every single movie.
I thought it was a little bit more subtle and tasteful this time, but you're right. It's like, I remember being like, of course, this is...
Like, of
this
course,
is in
Valkyrie's
this movie,
gay.
of course, yeah, and it's a bit weird.
But it's like...
I did think today, though, with Thor and him being stripped naked
Yeah.
by Zeus, and then they asked Korg, and he was like, I loved it. That was really funny.
Yes.
And now I'm like, oh, wait a second. Why did he say that because he liked it? Or was he just being like a suck up?
And
to
you're
Thor?
right. That's subtle, though. That's subtle. That's them doing it subtly. And that's all they needed to do. They didn't need to do, like, the whole him holding hands with the dude making a baby. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're going this far. I don't know. And it's whatever. It didn't take away from the movie at all. It's just another thing that's like, okay. Or whether, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a gay thing either. It could be a gay thing. It could be, like, just gendered stuff. Like, making some poke at, like, women's rights. Or just any kind of, like, knock on the white man.
That's always in one direction.
The hetero white man.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's just kind whether it's racial, sexual.
Well, and then even to that, they kind of like wimpify Thor a lot. They kind of make him a simp a little bit throughout, like where he's acting all wimpy with Jane, and I mean, I kind of just get tired of the oh, but I love you, and I'm like,
but that didn't I didn't catch that one as much. Like that didn't stand out to me as much. I know what you're saying, but it didn't stand out to me as much as like a flaw, because that has been something that is in Thor's character.
But yeah, and you know, they didn't butcher. They did pretty good considering the subject matter with like the love story between Jane and him.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what else you do in terms of that, but like I think like definitely Eternals with like
that was more blatant.
It was more blatant, and it was more like didn't make sense, or like it didn't go with the story. It wasn't funny. Like it wasn't anything. Like at least the Korg thing was like kind of funny.
Yeah.
And like it was like, you know, the equivalent of like the stork or the Cabbage Patch kind of thing.
And that's true. That's true. And who am I to say that his race is only males? Like maybe they're only males.
Well, yeah, and you could. That's one thing I'll say. You could pass it off as that, but it's just like.
And it wasn't blatantly gay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm just being.
Can I tell you though? One of the funniest lines I think that I can like remember is like, "Go team, kids in a cage."
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
But that almost was a little kind of disturbing too. Like,
Well, it like if you really think about it, it could be like a political statement.
yeah, and it's like. It kind of almost was like, what are they trying to say by this? They're kidnapping a bunch of kids, and
I didn't look too far past that one. Now, let me tell you the things that made this movie so fucking awesome. Like, this is why this movie is good. First of all, visual effects. They did awesome with visual effects. I thought the fights.
Yeah,
I thought there was a good balance between, like serious and action and like romance, but then I do think they kind of overdid the comedy. I stand by that statement. That the comedy was kind of it kind of took away from some of the more like meaningful moments in certain parts. Not every time, but like in certain parts, you know. I thought they kind of just like a little bit overdid that, but I do think it was good balanced. The visual effects were awesome. The soundtrack was awesome.
I thought it was pretty good. Even though I hate Guns N' Roses.
But it fit.
It fit really well, yeah.
But the number one thing in my book that made this movie fucking awesome, Christian Bale.
Oh, yeah.
Crushed that role.
He was good.
Crushed it. Like, might be one of my favorite villains in the MCU now.
Yeah.
He did so good. He had motive for why he was a villain. Mm-hmm. He was a good villain. Like he did what Wanda Scarlet Witch didn't do. Like he was corrupted by something. He was cursed, and he played it off perfectly.
Yeah,
you know, like he played it off like a corrupted being.
Right, and I think the way they used him to start the movie was great.
Yes.
Because you're really, like, making it its own movie, which is what it needs to be still. And then the whole concept of, like, all these other gods and he's killing them. And, like, that was a really cool concept. Because I feel like some of these Marvel movies, the villain's just kind of like an afterthought. Or, oh, who cares? Because we have a really big villain that we're going to fight in a big, like, Avengers movie. It's like, I really liked that. How they did it, and they made it really important, and they picked a really good big name actor for it, and they made it, yeah.
Well,
like
and
you said, they did a great job with it.
And they did, you know, it works too because, first of all, you're including the gods thing, which is a very prevalent part in the Marvel universe with like Zeus and Hercules and Ares. Like these are characters that are prevalent in the Marvel universe.
I didn't know that, but that's cool.
Yeah. And obviously like again, spoilers, if you've gotten this far, you've been spoiled the fuck out of. But like Hercules being at the end.
That was cool.
Like that's a good
I was surprised.
Yeah, no, that's a great
like a tease for another villain.
Yeah.
For Thor.
And like and also one that would be powerful to fight him.
And he's kind of on a similar like level where it's a physical battle.
Yes.
And not so much like, you know, the one thing about what's it, Gore, the God Slayer or whatever, I can't exactly
The God
remember.
Butcher.
The God Butcher. It's like I kind of wish I knew a little bit more like what the backstory of the thing corrupting him was.
Oh,
was it the Necro sword?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like where did this thing come from? It's like clearly some sort of demonic evil thing that the previous owner was killed by it because it poisons you, and then it chose him. But like that scene with him and that first god, and that god is just so like
a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit, and it's like over the top, kind of almost cartoony, and it was like the only thing I'll say, and it's the same problem I have with John Krasinski being Mr. Fantastic, is it's like I'm having a hard time not seeing you as Christian Bale.
See, I didn't. I thought he played it really well because
he did as good as you could possibly do for an actor that's that famous walking into this.
I agree, but I thought he played it his own. I thought he played the character as a character.
Really?
Not as like John Krasinski playing.
I think, yeah. And I think the corrupted acting moments were better than the like when he was in the beginning and the end.
I would agree
because it was harder to like disguise stuff.
But it was like his movements, like the way he just like the way he did his hands and the way he just like.
But he's a great like method. Was he a method actor? He's
he
great
is.
at being different, extremely different characters. But
and I liked the whole like pantheon of gods there, and it also ties in well with Moon Knight because that's all the Egyptian stuff, you know.
I didn't even think about that. I haven't seen Moon Knight.
It's pretty good.
But yeah, definitely some good moments in this. I do feel like it might end up being a little bit forgettable. Like I am already kind of like, what happened here? And
so here's what I think. First impression, leaving the theater, I thought it was better than Multiverse of Madness.
Really?
But I went back and watched Multiverse right after that. I only got halfway through it, but immediately my takeaway from just the first half of Multiverse was better than the first time I saw it.
Interesting. I mean, it's just as being like an old school Marvel fan, I guess, or like going back to watching it from the beginning. It's like I think our heartstrings are more tugged by Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy than it is by Doctor Strange.
Well, they're two completely different styled movies, though.
Yeah, that's true. I just think that Doctor Strange is never going to be as popular as like
Iron
Thor
Man
and Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's like they're trying to make him into that
a lead guy.
They're trying to make him into a lead guy, and I understand, but
Multiverse was really good though. Like after watching it the second time, I liked more things, and that was the problem with me going into that movie is I had way more expectations than I should have.
Were they like big expectations? Like you thought it was going to be like on the level of Avengers, and it wasn't. Yeah.
Like I had all these expectations, and none of them were met. So going into it, knowing how they were gonna do it, I like what they did, and it is good.
Yeah.
And so I think I don't bump Multiverse over Thor, but I bump it up from where I had it when my first reaction to it.
And you know, they clearly knew in Thor that like, okay, this whole like Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, we got to stick with this.
And I think they kind of just went.
And I'm like
a little overboard with it.
This might be controversial, but I'm not a Loki fan.
Okay.
And he is annoying to me. And I'm glad he's not in this movie. Who played him? Matt Damon?
Oh, in this one, yeah.
I like that version better.
Have you seen the Loki series?
I haven't seen any of the series.
You should. The Loki series is really good. I like the Loki series the best. I thought Loki was the best, WandaVision is second best, and Moon Knight is third.
Yeah, and that's one thing with Multiverse of Madness compared to Thor Love and Thunder is the villain story, and the villain is just so much better in Thor.
It is.
Because the over-the-top indestructible Wanda thing is kind of ridiculous.
Well, and like
me.
So here's the thing. Gore is the god butcher. He literally has the power to kill gods, but somehow he does not feel unbeatable. He doesn't feel like this overpowered. And he has like shadow powers and shit, you know what I mean? Like He is clearly very powerful, but he doesn't come across like unbeatable like Wanda does.
Yeah, Wanda beating the different Earth's Avengers in like 2 seconds. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
like,
single-handedly.
It almost felt like it was rushed, and it was like you're coming across as like overpowered, and like they made her too sympathetic. I can't remember what the other weird thing about the Wanda thing was, but
well, her motive was really shitty.
Yeah, it was just
like Gore's motive in him, you could sympathize with him. Like you could be like, okay, I get why he hates gods. I get why he wants to kill all the gods. Like his motive is it's understandable. Hers was like, I want to be with my children who I've never had, but like made up in my head, and I'm going to kill anybody in my way just to make that happen, including myself in another universe.
Yeah.
It's just such a selfish, like unrealistic idea of like I think even a parent would be like that's stupid.
Because she is supposed to be a good guy, and her reason for becoming bad is like kind of ridiculous, and like the change is so extreme.
Well,
where
I
it's
mean,
like she's literally like, I'm gonna sacrifice this kid on the like satanic table, and it's like,
but she
at least gore. Go ahead.
I was gonna say she is corrupted by the book.
Oh,
so
yeah, that's
so
true.
her becoming evil, that is understandable why she becomes evil, but her motive to like doing all this evil stuff is stupid.
But like gore though, you do get that sense of like, I'm rooting for Thor. Like
Yeah.
this guy is like, he's bad and he knows he's bad. Like he's blinded by like it just
Revenge,
comes
yeah.
off more villainy.
Well, he has like a revenge mindset where Wanda literally has like a selfish motive where it's just like, I want to be with my kids.
Well, and the acting behind it, maybe I'm not like, I didn't really think her performance was as believable. Like her, like
I would agree.
her being like intimidating and intense is a little bit like,
It just definitely doesn't have the same vibe.
where it's funny that it's like, oh, we're gonna justify Wanda's power by being like, well, there's this temple that's been here and she's like the like chosen one, and it's like, oh my gosh, like everyone's elevated to this like extreme status and it just never ends.
Did you see?
It's just like,
were you the one that sent me the meme of SpongeBob?
Yeah.
And it's just like every time she's just getting more powerful.
like every movie it just shows SpongeBob getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and it's like Wanda and Doctor Strange, and he's just like this fucking god.
You're uninvited from the orgy.
Which one's?
Did you like when Zeus said that?
Oh yeah, that was great. And he goes, maybe he's not so cool.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
that-
not so cool.
But that's cool. That's smart though, because that is how Zeus is. Like Zeus is just like this fucking sex fiend that's like a total.
In the Marvel comics.
No, in real mythology.
In real life.
Yeah. Well,
No, this isn't a joke to me. Okay, just kidding.
in real mythology. He's like this total like
Really?
debauchery, like just freaking
I didn't know that.
glutton.
Because that's what I was wondering. I was like, man, Marvel's putting some hate on Zeus's name
No, that's
over here.
He's all about the orgies and drunken nights and wine and fucking all that stuff. Good old Zeus.
Oh my god.
And he does like a Greek accent, which is funny.
Yeah, that is kind of funny.
Getting it-
I'm like dying with this. Okay.
It's all right. We're almost. In fact, we could probably wrap up if you want, unless you had anything else to add about Thor.
I don't know. Natalie Portman, you're not the greatest actor, but you did a good job in this movie.
I thought it was
compared to
alright.
some of her other movies.
I did think it was all right.
She was pretty good. Yeah,
I saw
it's a good movie.
I saw an article that said Taika Waititi. I can never say his last name. Taika Waititi.
Who was that?
The director.
Oh, okay. I don't know how to pronounce it.
He also voices Korg, but
Oh, he's one of the best characters in the whole movie.
apparently he got greenlit for some Star Wars project, probably a series or something like that. And he asked Natalie Portman if she'd be interested in playing in it, not realizing she's already been a character in Star Wars.
That's so bad.
It's funny though, like
Have you seen Free Guy?
yeah, he's in that.
He's the bad guy.
Mhm.
That's who that is.
And he's the director in that movie too. I
And
think.
he's Korg.
Mhm.
Hey man, we're starting a revolution.
I love Korg. And it was funny, he goes, apparently all you need to be of whatever is your mouth. Like
Oh yeah, he's like, that's exactly what Doug used to say. Oh, I like. Oh yeah, Doug's dead. I love that.
he goes, get out of here, ghost.
Revolution has begun.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he is good.
And I don't know, I definitely think Ragnarok was better. Just because it flowed.
It definitely kind of ties in a little bit better with the like other Marvel universe type things and like Thor a little bit better.
I also think it was good because the first two movies didn't have that element.
yeah.
And so for them to go with this element in that movie made it just like it elevated it.
And this one,
you kind of expected it to be more like that.
And this one almost gave me the feeling of like it's like out there like Ragnarok was, but it's like a little bit even more out there, and it's like floating away a little too far.
I actually would have appreciated if they went that direction, but pulled it back, like even less than Ragnarok.
Yeah,
I would have appreciated it more. Like I think I would have been like, okay, like,
but I think
winner.
that I prefer Gore to like what's her name, Hela as the villain.
I agree with that. Like I said, I think Gore's one of my favorite Marvel villains just in this MCU.
Really?
For
Although,
sure.
if you want to talk about like a feminine villain, or
She was
like,
good.
Gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like
A
any
female
kind of
villain.
archetype that'll go with like a believable like feminine villain. She is a perfect example
She hit the nail on the
of
head.
like, she's not like a woman that's trying to be like a man and be a villain. She's being like evil, but like as
She
like
just
a,
so happens
like
to be
as
a
a
woman.
but like as a woman would be. Do you
Right.
know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
But
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, like in a like feminine way,
Yeah. I got
it's
you.
evil.
Mhm. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I know what
It's
you're
not
trying
like
to
a
say.
masculine evil. It's like a feminine evil, and it kind of, if you ever like,
But it doesn't seem too played out.
if you ever like came across anything like that in real life or anything, like you'd be like, yeah, she's like the evil stepmom. Like she's like that evil boss I had or something. Like,
Are there any other female villains, like lead villains in the Marvel universe? Like, there's the girl from the Black Order.
I don't know what that is.
That from Infinity War and
Oh.
Endgame.
There's the girl from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ghost.
Ghost, which it's almost like she's the side villain or something. But like,
And then there's the one from Black Widow too.
I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah,
The daughter.
but it's almost like someone's just controlling her.
Yeah, it doesn't come off
Like
authentic.
Hela is believable that like she is the like one,
Agreed. That was really good that they did that.
Yeah, that was like an excellent like female
And well
villain.
cast too. They're very good
yeah.
at casting.
And like her like gear and the way she looked was really intimidating, and like her facial expressions were so like intense, and like she was the perfect person for that.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's wrap this bad boy up now that we spoiled the entire movie.
Yeah, I don't even need to watch it.
I like to end the podcast with a positive or motivational message from the guest to the audience. Anything that you would like to share with them, uplift some spirits out there.
Uplift some spirits. Holy cow. That's a big,
Tall order.
that's a tall order. My gosh. I feel like I did this on the last podcast, so now I don't want to repeat what I said.
Which was?
I can't remember.
Oh.
I feel like, hey, he said the same thing in both those podcasts. Yeah, I'm just a broken record. But positive message. I say to keep with the theme of music and creativity, do something creative. Go write that song, go do that painting. Go, it doesn't need to be your whole life. It doesn't need to be, something that you're breaking your back to do and you're like out to prove anything super crazy, but it's good for the soul. Like we were saying, like you're finding the ideas, making a cool song. Do it for yourself. Do something,
Yeah, stretch that creative brain.
Yeah, just stretch your creative brain. Learn something about yourself creatively.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever heard that one on here. So,
Mix it up.
unique. I like it. And I agree with it. I think that is good.
And watch big movies right away
So that people
so that you don't get spoiled. And you know what? That is a positive message because you're going to be negative when you get spoiled.
Yeah. Well, and I truly do hate spoilers. I hate having movies spoiled for me.
Because I haven't watched Stranger Things yet, and I feel like I've already been spoiled.
Yeah.
But yeah, be creative and go with the flow of the ideas.
Let the ideas flow through you.
Yeah.
Seek them out. I like it. And come check us out August 20th at Harley Davidson. We're playing with Fake News. Show starts, I believe, at 6. But you can check it out on our Facebook page. Follow the Facebook page for all the info and for all future shows. And just to, be supportive of the band.
Yeah, and Fake News is great, too.
They are. Good guys.
I'm really excited for that show.
Also, make sure you follow the podcast on all the channels, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Follow on there, rate, review, like, share. Let everybody know. Let this guy know what you thought of this podcast. Reach out to him and say, hey, I saw you on the podcast. Great job. And, share it to the world so everybody can see it. But most importantly, don't forget, life's a garden. Dig it.
Just gotta